For this lesson, if Excel is open, close it and reopen it. Notice that there's a list of recently opened documents at the top of the left-hand menu bar. The list begins with the most recently opened workbook, which is probably the Wealth of Nations or the Wealth of Nations copy workbook, saved in Lesson 1.6. Hover the mouse over one of the files in the recent list. Notice that a pin icon has appeared next to the workbook name. Now hover the mouse cursor over the pin icon and notice that a tip appears saying pin this item to the list. This can be a great time saver as it enables any workbook that you use a lot to always be at the top of the recent workbooks list. You won't have to waste time looking for it on the hard drive. So let's imagine that we use the Wealth of Nations a lot. I'm going to click on the pin and notice that when I do that, the item moves to a section at the top of the list and the pin icon changes from unpinned to pinned. And now I'm going to click on the Wealth of Nations to open the workbook. Now I want to discuss file organization. By default, Excel saves all workbooks into your Documents folder, along with all other Office documents, such as Word documents or PowerPoint files. This clearly is going to cause problems when you have a few hundred files. It's better to organize yourself from the start by setting up an orderly filing system. To do that, I'm going to create an Excel subfolder beneath my Documents folder. So I'll click the File Explorer icon to leave Excel for the moment and go into Windows. And then I'll click on my Documents folder. I'm going to add a subfolder to the Documents folder called Excel. And then I can store all of my Excel workbooks in this folder. That way, they won't get mixed up with my Word documents and PowerPoint documents. So I right-click in the white area in the right-hand pane, choose New, and then Folder. And I'll call this folder Excel. Now it's quite easy to click away and end up with a folder called New Folder. If you were to right-click and click New Folder and then accidentally click somewhere, you've got a folder called New Folder. If that happens to you, just click on the folder, right-click and rename, and then you can call your folder whatever you want. I'm going to delete that folder now by selecting it and pressing the delete key because I don't need it. Now let's think about the Excel folder. We'll have all the Excel workbooks in one place, but perhaps you'll end up with thousands of Excel files, and it's better to put some organization into this by creating subfolders. For example, you may have many files that are to do with insurance, so you might want to create an insurance folder. And you might have more files that are to do with your accounting system, so we could create an accounts folder. And let's also create a folder called General for miscellaneous files. In my own Excel folder, I have 20 or 30 different folders. And of course, the subjects you'll choose for your own folders will be particular to your needs. Let's now go back to Excel. We'll close Excel and reopen it, just so that things initialize to our new folders, and then we'll try to save. So here's a blank workbook, File in the top left corner, Save As, to my computer, and Browse. And you can see that I'm in my Documents folder, and I can see my Excel subfolder. So I could click in that folder, and if this was an insurance workbook, I might put it in my Insurance folder. But we do waste a double click every time we save a document. Whenever I click Browse, I'm taken to the Documents folder, and then I have to double click to go to the Excel folder. Wouldn't it be nice if I went straight to the Excel folder? Well, we can do this by changing an option. Click Options in the left-hand menu bar, and then click Save in the left-hand menu bar, and you can see a default file location. In my case, it's C users Excel_000 documents. That's because the user on this computer is actually called Excel000, but you'll probably see your own name there, such as msmart. You need to add another backslash after documents and then type Excel. And this will point Excel at the right folder whenever you open or save a document. I'll now click OK, and let's try to do the same thing now and open a document. So File, Open on the left-hand menu bar, Computer, and Browse. And this time we're in the Excel folder. And you can choose which folder to open the workbook from. I'll now click the Cancel button to close the dialog, click the Back button to go to Excel, and then click the Close button to close down Excel. And I'll also click the Close button to close File Explorer. And you've now completed Lesson 1.8, Pin a Workbook and Understand File Organization.